37 minutes after 6 o'clock. Welcome back inside the Now Morning Show. It's Holy Week, so we're celebrating this week, and Christians celebrate Holy Week this week as they wrap up to Lent. Of course, to get to Easter weekend, we have Good Friday and Gloria Saturday and Easter Sunday coming up soon. And I know you're looking forward to that. But before we get there this morning, we're chatting about let's call it an online podcast, shall we?
Yeah.
Let's call it that. Youth Fires. This morning I want to welcome co-founders Jesse Joseph Fuentes and Shauna Stoddart Atwell, as well as senior team member Ariel Pay. Good morning to you and welcome to the Now Morning Show.
Morning, Rockers. How are you this morning?
I'm curious about everything that you guys are doing. 5 years in the making now.
Yeah.
Tell me, what is Youth Fires exactly?
Well, Youth Fires was a brainchild of mine and a friend of mine, Daniel, where I really got a vision that we needed an outlet for the youths, especially Christian youths, to access the gospel in a different way. You know, there's the way of you just going to church,
Right.
but it's something where kids would just go to church with their parents as opposed to them experiencing, you know, what the gospel is. So I came up with this idea to use YouTube and to use the media as that avenue to get youths engaged by seeing like-minded people
Right.
as themselves and to get it across to them.
I'm always wondering in situations like this, what gives you the authority to do it?
Well, what gives me the authority is basically I'm somebody who grew up in church,
Right.
And I've seen over the different churches I've been in that a lot of the young people I've grown up with, I look around and they're not there anymore. And then I wonder, why is that? Why am I, quote unquote, the last man standing? And it's really like a kind of like something that, God really impressed upon me that I should do, because it should be something where the gospel is just not for the older heads, the
Right.
people with the little grays, right?
I feel like I want to take offense to that, but I'm going to leave it alone. I'm going to leave it alone.
Yeah,
But Shauna, when you were approached with this idea, what was your first reaction?
Well, I was a babe in Christ. I recently had joined the church, and Jesse approached me, and I was just on fire for the Lord at that time. And I mean, when God pours
You
into
said you were on fire for the Lord?
yes. Listen, when God pours into you, it's like something that you just can't contain, that you want to share to everybody. And so I was just 100% on board with this mission. I wanted everybody to know, hey, this love that I've just received, it's too much for me. I need to get it out. I need to share it with everybody, as much people as I can.
So you'll just go up on YouTube, you record yourself just talking about, you just pick a random gospel and talk about it?
Yeah, with different topics. Some things that might be closer to home, like speaking about celibacy and the connections there. Is it something taboo? Certain taboo topics that you don't really talk about in church, right? It's a little something that you keep on, you kind of push underneath, but it is things that need to be spoken about.
There are plenty of things that don't talk about in church that need to be spoken about. And this is what we're talking about in Youth Fires. We're talking about the things.
The things.
The things.
It has to be like that.
Ariel, what inspired you to become a part of this team?
Well, I would, I guess, be one of the newest
You
members.
on fire
but
too?
yes, but of course I was on fire. And to find like-minded people, to find those that had that same passion, had that same fire, that drive to really spread the gospel of Christ to different lives, to anybody that would need it, because there are so many people that are lost, there are so many people that are hurting, there are so many people that are dealing with real life situations. And it's easy to think that you would hear something from your grandmother, or you might hear something from your parents, but when you have somebody that is around your age, that is in your environment, that is experiencing these same things that you are experiencing, then you have a voice that you can relate to. And at the end of the day, it's the Lord who speaks through us, and we get to share His heart, which is a heart of love, not one where you're condemning people or anything like that. The first thing that draws is that love.
But wouldn't there be things in the gospel that you would have questions about yourself? And how do we get through those questions? How do we get the answers to those questions from just talking to your peers and not going to somebody who might be more seasoned or a veteran, or might have a better understanding and grasp of it?
And my answer to that would be that just because somebody is of a certain age doesn't mean that they're senior. Right? Because when you look in the world system now, that there are different leaders who are being replaced with younger leaders. Does that mean that we can't go to them or see them really as true leaders of nations? And I think that's the same thing with us. You know, they're like nations inside of us, meaning that, you know, there's a whole set of like inspiration, revelation, and knowledge that is there for us at our age, because we've been through a lot, you know. It's not just that older people have been through a lot, but we ourselves have been through a lot, and we need to convey that using the Bible as our foundation to convey that.
And I agree, and I understand that 100%. The Bible is often interpreted by most of these older people, and they have different interpretations. That's how we end up with Catholicism versus Anglicans versus Baptists, who all Christian. Everybody believes in the same Christ, but we have different interpretations of the same Bible. How do we get past that aspect of it? Or is it that you guys are preaching from one particular Bible, Shona?
I mean, so we always tend to go with the original manuscript, the original Torah from the beginner. Help me out here, Jesse.
Yeah, from what she's trying to get at is just from like the original perspective of Hebrew and the Jewish and that kind of thing, right? It just really gets nitty-gritty, because the whole point about the Bible is really about Jesus. That's what we're trying to get to. Whether it's Old Testament, New Testament, it's really about Jesus and us trying to convey Jesus. And I just want to touch on why we're called Youth Fires. It's really, in the Bible, in the book of Acts, it spoke about where the Holy Spirit came down upon the men who were in the upper room, right? And that signifies fire. This signifies fire.
As though they were speaking in tongues, yes?
Exactly.
Right.
So for us, our version of that is that the fire of God through our tongues, right, that's how we're conveying the gospel, because the mandate was for those men to then go out to the nations, and that's our mandate, that's our mantra.
Tell people where they can get more, where they can find the word being spread, how they can get access to this information and be a part of it.
So Youth Fires, you could find us on YouTube at Youth Fires TT. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok as well. And YouTube is our main platform where we try to convey things. It allows us more time to convey all our different topics.
How long are the podcasts?
Sometimes 15, 20 minutes, and if it's, because I get to interview people from around the world who are just like us, from England, the UK, South Africa, and if it's really something that I'm really touched by, we might go on a little longer than that, yeah.
Ariel, how has this been received by people your age, your peers?
So many people have welcomed it, because, you know, even when I speak to some of my friends that would watch, they would be like, these are topics that, you know, really speak to them. These are things that change their lives, because sometimes you don't know something, and unless somebody says something about it, and unless they, you know, open your eyes to something, you really don't know. And to be that type of voice, to know that your voice matters, because you don't necessarily have to be, quote unquote, this big important person. You know, you can be used right where you are at. God takes you right where you are at, and your voice will matter.
What does the future of Youth Fires have in store for us?
Well, the future of Youth Fires is, I say the sky's the limit and beyond, because we don't want to just be limited to your phone or your tablet or the television, but we actually want to physically be able to go out and to go to places. I've already had the privilege to go to different nations, and for nations to come to us through the Zoom during this pandemic.
Right.
And
so it's opening doors.
Exactly. And so the scope literally is for us to go to the nations, but home base, to go to churches in Trinidad and Tobago. We've had the privilege as a non-profit organization to give back to orphanages, boys' homes, girls' homes, and that's really, you know, the gospel we want to spread is not just of the word of the mouth, but also of giving.
Jesse, are you at all concerned that working here at TTT is going to end up in some problems with all of this faith and thing? Are you at all concerned about that?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Out so well for
so listen, so far, look where I am right now, okay? So far, it's going so good.
So far, so good. I want to thank you all so much for joining us this morning, and congratulations. I think this is inspirational to all the young people who are watching, and to some of the older people who need to come and hear what young people have to say as well about their faith, about their religion, about the fire that's burning inside. So thank you guys very much for joining us. Jesse, Shona, Ariel, do enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. It's a privilege.
All right, guys, we take a quick break and we come back with more inside the Now Morning Show. Stick around.